Shared Passions by Everett Cole. The early morning sun glinted off the calm waters of Biscayne Bay as Mia Sanchez guided her small research boat away from the Miami shoreline. At 32, Mia was a rising star in the field of marine biology, her passion for the ocean evident in every precise movement as she prepared equipment for another day of fieldwork. Today's mission: document the health of a nearby coral reef, part of her ongoing research into the effects of climate change on Florida's delicate marine ecosystems. As she squinted against the brightening sky, Mia couldn't help but feel a sense of urgency. The reefs were dying, and it sometimes felt like she was in a race against time to save them. As she neared her research site, a flash of movement caught her eye. Another boat was anchored near the reef, which was unusual for this time of day. Mia frowned, worry creasing her brow. Anchoring too close to the coral could cause serious damage. She maneuvered her boat closer, preparing to politely but firmly educate the other boater on proper reef etiquette. As she drew near, she saw a man leaning over the side of the sleek fishing boat, camera in hand. He was so engrossed in whatever he was photographing that he didn't notice her approach. "Excuse me," Mia called out, her voice carrying over the gentle lapping of waves. "You're anchored too close to the reef. You need to move back at least 50 feet. The man startled, nearly dropping his camera into the water. As he turned to face her, Mia's breath caught in her throat. He was strikingly handsome, with sun-kissed skin, a strong jawline, and eyes as blue as the Florida sky. "I'm so sorry," he said, his voice warm and tinged with embarrassment. "I had no idea. I'm not from around here." Mia's stance softened slightly. "It's okay. Just please be more careful in the future. These reefs are incredibly fragile." The man nodded, already moving to pull up his anchor. "I feel terrible. I'm actually here to help protect the reefs, not damage them. I'm Noah Carter, a photojournalist for National Geographic. I'm working on a story about Florida's marine ecosystems." Mia's eyebrows shot up in surprise. "National Geographic? Really? That's wow." She shook her head, remembering her manners. "I'm Dr. Mia Sanchez. I'm a marine biologist studying these reefs." Noah's face lit up with interest. "Dr. Sanchez, I've read your work on coral bleaching. It's fascinating stuff. Would you mind if I asked you a few questions for my article? Your insights would be invaluable." Mia hesitated. She had a full day of research ahead of her, and she wasn't in the habit of giving impromptu interviews. But there was something earnest about Noah's enthusiasm that was hard to resist. "Tell you what," she said, making a split-second decision. "Why don't you join me for the day? You can observe my work firsthand, and I can make sure you don't accidentally destroy any more reefs." Noah's answering grin was as bright as the Miami sun. "That would be amazing." "Thank you, Dr. Sanchez." "Mia," she corrected, surprised by her own informality. "If you're going to be tagging along all day, you might as well call me Mia." As Noah carefully maneuvered his boat to anchor at a safe distance, Mia found herself watching him with growing interest. His movements were graceful and assured, his lean muscles evident under his sun-protective clothing. She shook her head, reminding herself to focus on the task at hand. Once Noah had joined her on her research boat, Mia began explaining her work as she prepared to dive. "I'm documenting changes in coral health over time," she said, checking her scuba gear. "We're seeing alarming rates of bleaching and die-off due to rising ocean temperatures and pollution." Noah listened intently, jotting notes in a waterproof notebook. "It's heartbreaking," he said softly. "I've been photographing reefs around the world for years, and the changes I've seen, it's devastating." Mia looked at him sharply, surprised by the genuine emotion in his voice. "It is," she agreed. "But that's why this work is so important. We can't protect what we don't understand." As they prepared to dive, Mia found herself impressed by Noah's skill and respect for the marine environment. He moved through the water with the ease of someone who had spent countless hours beneath the waves, careful never to touch or disturb the fragile ecosystem around them. Underwater, Mia's world narrowed to her research. She meticulously photographed and sampled sections of coral, noting areas of new growth and regions suffering from bleaching or algae overgrowth. Occasionally, she would gesture to Noah, pointing out particularly interesting specimens or concerning changes. Noah, for his part, captured it all with his camera. But Mia noticed that, as often as he photographed the reef, his lens would turn to her. She felt a warmth that had nothing to do with the tropical waters each time she caught him focusing on her. As they surfaced after their second dive of the day, Noah's excitement was palpable. "Mia, that was incredible," he said, pulling himself back into the boat. "The way you work, your attention to detail, it's amazing. You're clearly passionate about what you do." Mia felt a blush creep up her cheeks, and not just from the sun. "Thanks," she said, busying herself with her equipment. "It's easy to be passionate when the stakes are so high. These reefs, they're not just beautiful, they're essential to the health of our oceans, to the livelihoods of so many people." Noah nodded, his expression serious. "I couldn't agree more. That's why I wanted to do this story. People need to understand what's at stake." As they worked side by side, processing samples and reviewing data, Mia found herself opening up to Noah in a way she rarely did with anyone, let alone someone she'd just met. She told him about growing up in Miami, daughter of Cuban immigrants, and how a school trip to the Florida Keys had ignited her love for marine biology. Noah, in turn, shared stories of his travels around the world, the wonders he'd seen and the environmental challenges he'd documented. Mia was struck by his genuine concern for the planet and his desire to use his photography to make a difference. As the sun began to dip towards the horizon, painting the sky in brilliant shades of orange and pink, Mia realized with a start that they'd worked through the entire day. "I can't believe how late it's gotten," she said, glancing at her watch. "I should really be getting back to shore." Noah looked equally surprised by the passage of time. "Would you maybe want to grab dinner?" he asked, a hint of nervousness in his voice. "I'd love to hear more about your research, and I know this great little Cuban place in Little Havana." Mia hesitated. She had mountains of data to process, emails to return. But the thought of ending her time with Noah so soon left her feeling strangely bereft. "You know what? That sounds great. I could use a good ropa vieja after a long day of diving." Noah's answering smile was dazzling. "Fantastic. I promise you won't regret it." As they made their way back to the marina, the Miami skyline glittering in the distance, Mia found herself sneaking glances at Noah. There was something about him, his passion, his kindness, the way his eyes looked when he laughed, that drew her in. Dinner at the tiny, family-owned restaurant was a revelation. Noah had clearly done his research, ordering dishes that transported Mia straight back to her abuela's kitchen. As they shared crispy croquetas and sipped on minty mojitos, their conversation flowed effortlessly from marine conservation to favorite books to embarrassing childhood stories. "I can't believe you actually tried to smuggle a baby sea turtle home in your lunchbox," Noah laughed, shaking his head in amusement. Mia groaned, hiding her face in her hands. "I was 7. I thought I was saving it. How was I supposed to know it needed to make the journey to the ocean on its own?" As the evening wore on, Mia found herself reluctant for it to end. There was an ease to being with Noah that she hadn't experienced in a long time. When he walked her to her car, there was a moment of charged silence, the air between them electric with unspoken possibilities. "Mia," Noah said softly, his blue eyes intense in the soft glow of the streetlights. "I know I'm only in town for a few weeks to work on this story, but I'd really like to see you again. Maybe you could show me more of your favorite spots in Miami?" Mia's heart raced. She knew she should be cautious after all, Noah would be leaving soon. But there was something about him that made her want to take a chance. "I'd like that," she said, surprising herself with her boldness. "How about this weekend? There's a great farmer's market in Coconut Grove. We could pick up some fresh produce, maybe have a picnic in the park." Noah's face lit up. "That sounds perfect." As Mia drove home that night, the warm Florida breeze whipping through her open windows, she couldn't keep the smile off her face. She'd started the day focused solely on her research, on the monumental task of saving Florida's reefs. Now, she found herself looking forward to something entirely unexpected, the promise of a sun-soaked Miami day spent in the company of a man who seemed to understand her in a way few others did. The next few weeks passed in a whirlwind of stolen moments between Mia's research and Noah's photoshoots. They explored the colorful streets of Wynwood, marveling at the ever-changing murals. They boated through the tranquil mangrove tunnels of Valletta River State Park, Noah capturing Mia's laughter as she ducked under low-hanging branches. With each day that passed, Mia felt herself falling deeper. Noah wasn't just handsome and charming. He was genuinely interested in her work, asking insightful questions and offering a fresh perspective on her research. He challenged her to think beyond the data, to consider how to communicate the urgency of coral conservation to a wider audience. But as Noah's time in Miami drew to a close, a sense of melancholy settled over Mia. She knew from the start that this was temporary, that Noah's job would take him to the far corners of the globe. Still, the thought of saying goodbye left an ache in her chest. On their last evening together, Noah surprised Mia with a sunset sail on Biscayne Bay. As they stood at the rail of the small sailboat, the Miami skyline a glittering backdrop, Noah turned to her with a serious expression. Mia, he began, taking her hands in his. These past few weeks have been incredible. I've traveled all over the world, seen so many amazing things. But being here with you, seeing your city through your eyes, understanding your passion for these reefs, it's shown me something I didn't even know I was missing. Mia's heart raced, hope and fear warring within her. Noah. He pressed on, his voice low and earnest. I know my job takes me all over, and your work is here in Florida. But I can't just walk away from us, without at least trying to make it work. What do you think about a long-distance relationship? I could base myself out of Miami between assignments, help bring more attention to your research. Mia felt tears in the corners of her eyes. Are you sure? Your career? Your dreams? I don't want you to give those up for me. Noah cupped her face gently in his hands. Mia, you've become part of those dreams. Telling stories that matter, shining a light on the wonders of this world and the threats they face. That's still what I want to do. But now I want to do it with you by my side, even if we're not always in the same place. As the last rays of sunlight painted the sky in breathtaking hues of pink and gold, Mia looked into Noah's eyes and saw a future full of possibility. It wouldn't be easy, she knew. There would be long separations, missed calls due to time differences, the challenges of building a life together across distances. But there would also be the thrill of reunion, the joy of sharing their adventures, and the knowledge that they were both working towards a common goal, protecting the natural wonders of the world they both loved so deeply. Okay, Mia said softly, a smile spreading across her face. Let's do it. Let's give this a shot. Noah's answering grin was radiant as he pulled her close, kissing her with a passion that matched the fiery Florida sunset behind them. As they sailed back towards the twinkling lights of the city, Mia felt a sense of peace settle over her. She didn't know exactly what the future held, but she was excited to find out, one sun-soaked day at a time. In the months and years that followed, Mia and Noah's love story unfolded against the backdrop of Florida's stunning natural beauty and the global fight for environmental conservation. Noah's photographs of Mia's work brought international attention to the plight of Florida's coral reefs, leading to increased funding and support for restoration efforts. Their relationship weathered long distances and challenging times, but it was anchored by their shared passion and the joy they found in each reunion. Whether they were diving in the crystal-clear waters of the Keys, camping in the wild beauty of the Everglades, or simply enjoying a quiet evening on Mia's small balcony overlooking Biscayne Bay, they continually rediscovered the magic that had first drawn them together. As the years passed, Mia and Noah built a life that honored both their individual dreams and their commitment to each other. They became a power couple in the world of environmental conservation, their combined talents shining a spotlight on the beauty of Florida's ecosystems and the critical need to protect them. And on quiet evenings, when the Miami heat gave way to gentle breezes off the Atlantic, they would often find themselves back on that small sailboat where they had first decided to take a chance on love. Under a canopy of stars, with the glittering city behind them and the vast ocean before them, Mia and Noah would hold each other close, grateful for the unexpected journey that had brought them together and excited for all the adventures still to come. Their love story, like the Sunshine State itself, was vibrant, resilient, and full of life, a testament to the power of following one's passion and finding, along the way, a kindred spirit with whom to share the journey.